Welcome to this video on learning plans and activities. Learning plans are groupings of courses and activities that can be assigned to users. Those users, in addition to their supervisors, administrative assistants, and CE manager system administrators, can track their progress. An example of a learning plan is one that is targeted towards employees who are upskilling for a promotion. In order to move from being an associate attorney to a senior attorney, a person may need to take a series of training sessions such as coaching, managing projects, and creating invoices. Another example is onboarding new employees. Upon starting at your firm, employees may be required to take security, anti-harassment, and charge hour expectation training. The new employees also take a series of related courses that are specific to the practice areas where they belong. To start, we hover over the left-hand navigation panel and click on Learning. In the subheadings, we see options for courses, activities, and learning plans. Courses have a defined time frame. If it's live, it runs from, say, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. If it's on demand, the video is 59 minutes, 32 seconds long. Activities are tasks that need to be completed, and we don't have definitive start or end times for these. Upon clicking on activities here in the navigation pane, we see examples of activities such as meet with coach, meet with mentor, read employee handbook. And we have learning plans. We click here. For this learning plan, we create an onboarding learning plan. Before we create the learning plan itself, we need to create all the courses and activities first. Upon doing so, we click on Add Learning Plan. We see three options: mandatory, all courses and/or activities are required; learner's choice, a specific number of courses must be taken from a longer list. For example, the user must complete 3 of the 10 courses listed. As a side note, activities remain mandatory. Mandatory plus learner's choice. This is a combination of the previous 2 options where some courses are mandatory and others are left for the employee to decide which to take. We click on this third option to create a combo learning plan. We fill out the learning plan details screen. Here, any field that has an asterisk must be filled out. If you do not see an asterisk, you do not have to fill in that field. Let's name our learning plan Onboarding Learning Plan. For time frame to completion, we have 3 options: calendar-based, time to complete, and none specified. Calendar-based may be used if we have a definitive start and finish, such as these 12 courses must be completed during the calendar year, such as that. Time to complete. This option is beneficial if we want the clock to start ticking as soon as a person is added to that learning plan. For example, we give somebody 45 days, and as a side note, we can select weeks and months. In this case, we'll stick with 45 days. Then finally, we have the option for none specified. We will stick with time to complete. Next, we have competencies. Think of these as skills. When a user is searching for learning plans while in the portal, he or she can select one or more competencies to narrow that search. Tags. Inside of tags, we can create a tag where somebody can search on a specific word to find that onboarding learning plan. In this case, we choose newbie, and we see that newbie does not exist, but we can add it. We'll just revise our text a bit, and then we have the code field. The code field just needs to be something unique. The code fields allows our multiple applications to talk in the back end. And I'm going to click on Save. Next, we have private administrator notes. Any text here is to be shared among CE managers, system administrators, but not employees for their viewing. Moving down, we see Allow Self-Registration. Allow self-registration upon activating enables the user to navigate the portal to find interesting learning plans and sign him or herself up for it. Send an email when user is added. Turning this option on notifies the user if he or she is manually added to the learning plan. Send an email when the user is deleted. Turning this option on notifies the user if he or she is removed from the learning plan. Send an email when the user has been included, excluded, or no longer meets the criteria. We'll cover criteria that automatically adds or removes people from the learning plan upon finishing this series of screens. Add materials from library. Here, if we click on the button, here we can add materials that are already in our library. If I type in presentation, I can include the presentation deck and click add. Now, if the file is not in our system already or in our library already, we can still add it. We click on add materials from library and we click on upload materials. Here we have two options, file and link. Here we click on file and we can upload files. You can either drag or drop the file or you can browse for it. We decide to drag and drop. If you have a link to a file that's in a document management system that is web-based, we can simply include the URL. Such as that. And then we give it a name. And click on next. If we are fine with the naming convention that we've added, we click on finish. These materials are added to our list of materials, and we wish the end user to see all of them. Finally, we have description. Typing a description for this learning plan helps your users know what to expect from the courses and activities involved. Let's grab some text, paste it on in here, such as all firm new hires must complete this learning plan. Now the learning plan addition is a wizard. In the wizard, we can step back in the process or move forward. We move forward. Mandatory courses. Here we add courses that must be taken. To add these courses, we simply click Add Course. To aid yourself in finding mandatory courses, you may consider starting all of them with a similar naming convention. For example, we have new employee onboarding as the beginning of each one of these class names, and we click on Add. If you forgot to select a course, just click Add Course here, or if you added a course by mistake, we can click on the trash bin. Let's click on Next. Set display order. While CE Manager doesn't force users to take courses in a specific order, you can set the order in which the user sees them. Let's start by moving time and expense to the top and sexual harassment training to the middle, and click on Next. Learner's Choice Courses. Here we give the users the option to take any number of courses from a list. Currently we see 0 as the number of required courses. We add a few more classes. So we click Add Course. In this case, we're going to filter by courses that are live, held internally, that are coming up in the near future. So we select a start date, and we list ourselves as the provider, and we look for a group live session format. Apply filter. And these are the 3 that we want, and we select them. We now see that we can take anywhere from 0 to 3 courses because we have 3 courses in our learner's choice area. Let's add a few more. Here we'll just select the first 10 courses that we have and add those as well. We don't have the option for reordering the courses because we want to have users take, let's say, 5 of these 13 courses and any 5 can be taken. Let's move on. Activities. Recall from earlier, activities are tasks that need to be accomplished. Click Add Activity, and we're going to select all the activities that we see here because they all have to do with new employee onboarding. We see our activities added, and we click on Next. In the last step of the wizard, we confirm whether or not our learning plan is accurate. If not, we can click the back button to step back screen by screen, or we can edit the details of the learning plan itself. If everything looks good, we go ahead, click Finish. Our learning plan is now complete. Let's look through the options on this page. Clicking the back button takes us to the Learning Plans home screen and lists all of our learning plans. In this case, we just created the onboarding learning plan. Edit Learning Plan allows us to edit certain components of the learning plan, such as the title, what time frame we have listed for it, competencies, and additional options. Notice that we are on the Participants tab. This is where we can manually add participants or set criteria for users to be added or removed from the learning plan. To begin, we click on Add Participants, and we manually add a specific user. And then it notifies us, send notification. The selected user was successfully added to the learning plan. Would you like to send a notification? We say yes. In this screen, we determine who the reply to person is. We'll say Jasmine, and we're going to send this as Jasmine as well. And we have the option to copy the administrative assistants. If we wish to take a brief preview, we can look at it here, or at the very top of our screen, click on Preview Email. This says, "Hi Nate, you have been added to this learning plan." We click on Close and send the email. Next, we have participant criteria. Here, when a person meets the criteria, he or she is automatically added to the learning plan. For our first criteria, we are going to say title, and translates to position. We're going to say equal to associates. Also, we are going to select those who have a New York law license. So I type in the title. Oh, something I forgot is we can determine or criteria. In this case, I want both criteria to be met, so I select the and button. Here we click on license is equal to New York law, and we are done. Before we click on next, we do see if the participant no longer meets the criteria, do we want them to continue taking the learning plan, or do we exclude them? We go ahead and exclude those users and click Next. The following screen lists everybody in our database that meets those criteria. In this case, we will deselect our system administrators because our system administrators add licenses for testing purposes. We click on Finish. The notification. Typically, I would say yes, send a notification, but in this case, all of our users have fictitious emails in this fictitious firm, so I will click on No. Let's take a look at the Requirements tab. Here we scroll through the list to confirm that all courses and activities are accurate. To modify the list, we click on Edit Requirements. And this allows us to edit the mandatory courses, learner's choice courses, and activities. On the Plan Details tab, we can view several plan details and modify some of the settings. Email settings, we have one option, reminder. I'll read it here. Set up an email schedule to send an automatic reminder at selected dates and times or based on a defined recurring schedule. And we click on Add Schedule. To start, we click on Specific Dates. We can specify specific dates that reminders are sent out. And maybe we say approximately twice a month. So we'll say in the new year. We'll also remind them. And one more, we will say three specific dates that we would like to send these reminders out. Alternatively, we can click on Recurring Schedule. Click here to specify the starting and ending dates for reminders and then the cadence. So we decide we're going to have this run through this time next year. And then we determine the cadence. So we're going to say daily is a bit too frequently to add learning plan reminders. So we're going to change this to weekly. And Mondays are typically a busy time for email, replying to emails. So we may select Tuesday and deselect Monday. Before we click on Save, we notice that Template has a red exclamation mark next to it. Let's check out this tab. Here we see that we need to populate the reply to and the send as fields. So we will select Jasmine again and send as Jasmine. We also have a few options. We can CC specific users, blind carbon copy certain users. And for subject learning plan reminder, I like to include the text of the specific learning plan that we are using. So I'll just replace that with onboarding learning plan reminder. In addition, we can include links to materials. I highly recommend clicking yes on this option. We have three last options. Send a copy to administrative assistants. Click yes if you want to do so. And then we have two CC options as far as how do we want these messages to look to those who are carbon copied. We can take a glimpse of what that message will look like before we click Save. If all looks well, we click on Save. Our learning plan is now complete. For our participants, we manually added Nate Yechmanek, and let's go ahead and move over to the portal to see what it looks like for an end user to take courses and complete activities inside of their learning plans. To do so, let's log out as system administrator and log in as an end user. Inside of the portal, we see a tile called Learning Plans. As a note, you can also click on the navigation button, Learning Plans. Let's take a look at what we have. Since I have been manually added to this learning plan, I can see what my progress is. And so far, I haven't taken any mandatory courses, learner's choice courses, or activities. If I wish, I can click on any of the materials to download them. And finally, let's look at the details of this learning plan. Here we see the details of our learning plan by scrolling through, and we have the option to initiate taking these courses by simply clicking on them. I view on demand and start the video. For sake of time, we're not going to watch the entire video, so we take a pause and we replay the video after most of it has already taken place. Upon seeing that big green check mark, I now know that my course is complete and I can return to the catalog. Here we return to the learning plan and notice that I'm now 33% done with my mandatory courses. Let's go back into our learning plan and notice that we can do the same exact thing for our learner's choice courses. Note that we only need to take 5 out of the 13 to be in compliance. So if you take one Learner's Choice course and complete it, you'd be 20% done. Finally, we look at activities. Certain activities look as such where I completed the activity described above on a specific date. Here we type in what date we met with our coach. And click Submit. Other activities operate slightly differently. Another one called New Employee Onboarding. We click on and we notice, okay, we have the file that I need to read, and I decide I'm going to enter the date that I read this, and we see that the Submit button is grayed out. What we have to do first is download the material, and upon downloading, Submit is highlighted. So we click on Submit. Moving back, we can see that we've taken 2 of the 9 required activities. Let's move on back to the System Administrator screen to see this person's progress. We close the window and log out and log in as a System Administrator. Pull up Learning and Learning Plans. And notice that we have 8 people signed up for the learning plan. Nobody has completed it as of yet. As a high-level overview, we can see that there are 3 mandatory courses, 5 Learner's Choice, and 9 activities. Self-registration is click to yes. We determine when people are added, it's the date they are added, and the end date within 45 days. We click on Onboarding Learning Plan. Scroll down and see that Nate Yechmanek has taken 33% of the mandatory courses, none of the Learner's Choice, and 22% of the activities. Thanks so much for watching this video on learning plans and activities.